This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News and Disc Jockey News TV. It is Wednesday night, and we are bringing a special episode of DJN TV Wednesday Night Chat. We are down at Mobile Beat Las Vegas, and I've got Steve Lynch. Steve?
Hey, how are you?
Doing well. It's good to see you as always. We are at your room, which is the Atlanta Photo Booth, kind of a special. You got these little rooms off to the side where you can display all the products. And you've got some awesome products here. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, what we're going to do is we've got the man here, and he's going to walk us through, and we're going to talk photo booth. We're going to look at a lot of cool things, and there's a few other little kind of surprises in the room that we're going to look at tonight on DJN TV. Now, Steve, it's photo booth land in here tonight. We're going to start with one that I haven't seen before. Let's kind of tell the crowd a little bit about this guy.
Okay, this guy here we've called the Venue Pro. And basically, it was the photo booth we came out with to address the, hey, I want something that's not so boxy or so monolithic. We came out with this. It's almost, I don't know, like a sunflower or an alien shape or something like that. It's nice and round. It has the nice round ring that puts the rings in your eyes when you're taking photos. And it breaks apart into 3 pieces, so it'll fit into any car. It's very lightweight. A young lady could move it, or a small man, or whatever. The printer will sit in the front here, so you don't have the problem of your printer sitting on a table or whatever else. It's kind of integrated. We give you some black vinyl with it to vinyl your printer so that it kind of matches the look of everything. And it has the tilting head so that you can get the taller people, the shorter people. That was something that a lot of people wanted to have put into this booth. And we're running on a Microsoft Surface Pro, so you have a nice small removable yet powerful computer that will go in and out, and that really makes the top part here very, very light. So this is really the guts of the booth, and the whole thing probably weighs somewhere between 5 and 7 pounds, so you're really not having to heft any giant piece with this. So this is a really mobile unit that looks really cool and is really easy to set up. So that was the whole idea behind this.
Now, Steve, how tech savvy do I need to be able to run this? That's a question that a lot of people are wondering. I mean, this can be pretty complicated from our perspective.
It's really gotten to the point now. I mean, do you have an iPhone or an Android phone? I mean, really, that's how easy the software has become now. You used to have to use Photoshop, you used to have to use Illustrator, or converting PDFs into layouts and things like that. Nowadays, it's all drag and drop. So it's much like using your iPhone, where you just go on and you can do it right on the screen and drag images over, squeeze them and pinch them to size them, rotate them, and make your strips look any way you'd like. So if you want to do 2x6s, you can do a 2x6, 6x8, 4x6, whatever print paper you have, you can accommodate. And
now, when you're saying 2x6, and what do you mean by that?
By 2x6, probably the most popular size print would be a 4x6, which would be a full postcard size. When you go through, most people will design them to be a 2x6 strip, which is the more traditional photo booth result. So the printers will all cut the 4x6 in half and yield 2 copies basically. A lot of times 1 for the customer and 1 for the scrapbook, or 2 for the customer, whatever you're deciding to do at that particular event.
Right. Now, are those completely customizable? I see that you have 3 pictures on that and a little text.
Yes. Yeah, you can do absolutely anything you'd like. You have full creative control over it. Because you can take and add any artwork you'd like, or you can add as many photos. You could actually put 16 separate photos on a strip if you wanted to. The same thing with your start screens and stuff like that. Let's say you had a corporate client and they wanted to have something like Coca-Cola cans on the screen, or tires, or whatever their thing was. You can make it so that the entire user experience reflects their brand, and it's very easy to do. So, gone are the days where you had to have the art department design the stuff for you. Now you can go online and find their logo online, find a nice PNG, bring it in there, rotate it, put an outline around it, a drop shadow, and it looks like you spent 20 minutes on it. So
very nice, very nice. And this is just one, ladies and gentlemen. We've got a lot to get through here. Let's jump to the next one, Steve.
Let's do it.
So we go from this sexy little round photo booth to a kind of more of a tabletop, I guess. Wouldn't this be?
Yeah, this is the Party Box. This is one of our more popular ones because of the way it's made. It's basically, I like to call it our tough stuff booth. It's made from high-density polyethylene, which is essentially like a cutting board material.
Yeah.
It's very easy to clean, so grubby little fingers and stuff like that can't hurt it. Bouncing it around in the car can't hurt it. And it's all all of the guts and stuff are actually in the top part. So you can use this just on a table. A lot of people will use this as a hashtag printing station or as a social media booth or something like that, and you don't even have to bring the bottom. Now the bottom is essentially just the printer stand, and you have delivery slots on both sides. You can cover one side and have it spit out on the left, or you can cover that side and have it spit out on the right, depending on the orientation and where you're placed that night.
Sure.
And you can also use them like carrying handles. So this is one of the favorites because of the relatively low price, the nice transportable size of it, and the fact that the printer is enclosed. A lot of people do like the printer to be away from prying hands. If you're at a school dance or something like that, this is fantastic because the kids can't get at the printer. They're not going to damage the booth if they get cakey fingers or cotton candy or whatever on it. And it's a nice size. It's not overly obtrusive, so it makes it great for stuff like step and repeat backdrops or green screen photography or any type of thing where you just don't want a giant photo booth in the way.
Yeah, so now what happens in a situation like this? I can't see the printer. How does one get access to the printer to change the film or what have you?
Well, in the back of the booth, and we're not going to be able to actually see it, but there's flex panels. That's one of the things we did when we made this booth, was we tried to design it so that it had as few moving parts as possible so that we could keep the cost down and also make it very easy to maintain. These panels simply flex into a groove in the back, which allows you full access to the printer side or the camera side, and it lets you get in there to change your paper, to adjust your camera or anything like that, and then you simply just pop it back in when you're ready to get at it. The other nice thing about that is you can set this right up against the wall, and you have full access to the back because of the slick, not slick, slim back door.
Now, what size screen am I looking at here?
You're looking at a 21.5 inch screen, generally referred to as a 22, but 21.5 if you want to be super accurate.
And this is a touchscreen?
Yes, it's a multi-touch touchscreen. And as you can see on this particular layout, we've gone and we've added buttons for every little color. We have color, retro, black and white. You can use either photos or shaped buttons, which you just simply drag over and you basically click the editor and tell it what you want that button to do. So if you wanted to put invisible reprint buttons up in the corner of the screen, you could, or if you wanted to put, how many copies do you want buttons or a cancel button or anything else, it's fully customizable. You can tell it to do whatever you'd like it to do.
Very nice. And okay, so I'm going to show him a little naive. Color I get. Black and white. What would retro be?
Retro is kind of a throwback to the Instagram-y type of look, much like a 1970s. You get that kind of washed out, Instamatic type of color thing.
Sure.
It's not quite black and white, not quite color. It's kind of in between.
Something that you look back at your parents' pictures of you when you're a kid, and you're like,
exactly.
Oh, photography's come a long way since
Nothing
then.
was very colorful back then.
Let's go now. We're going to go to a step up in. We've got our small, medium, and a little bit larger.
Yes, sir.
Now, Steve, we've got a little bit larger unit here. Kind of tell us about this guy.
This one right here was something I got a call on about 5 weeks ago. Are you familiar with the Late Late Show with what's his name, Craig Ferguson there?
Yes, yes.
Okay, Craig Ferguson is retiring, and they have a new guy coming in, and he is taking over the show. And part of what he wanted for the show was a photo booth that they would have all the special guests go through while they were on air walking up to the stage. So they called us and they asked us to design them a booth. They told us basically they wanted a 24 by 24 by 6 foot booth and said run with it. So we went ahead and we designed this one. We're actually dropping it off Thursday night after we leave. We're driving out to Burbank and we're dropping it off at the CBS studios. So we're going to get to go out there and actually teach them how to use it and set it up and get it on air. So this was a custom-made unit, which has actually turned a couple of heads while we've been here. So we're going to probably offer this as one of the ones in our stable. But this was a custom unit, which you will be able to see on TV on the Late Show.
Very nice. So this is going to be famous.
Yes. I wish they'd let me put my name across it, but it's not the Steve Show, so we're just going to have to.
So now comparing the guts on this particular unit, we've already gone through two of them. What's the difference really with the internal components in these?
Basically with the photo booths, I mean, across the board, industry-wide, you're pretty much all looking at the same type of guts. You're using usually a Canon or a Nikon camera, sometimes a webcam. You're using a computer and some sort of a touch screen. There's basically 3 softwares people use, either Photo Booth, Breeze, or Darkroom, which has become the more popular one lately because of the ease of use and the really robust feature set. It's made the learning curve 0 for people.
Wow.
So it's made my life easier as well as a lot of operators because of the fact that I don't have to spend 2 hours training them on how to use it, and they can download it a week ahead of time before they get their booth, and they can essentially learn it on their own before I get it. So Darkroom has really changed our game as far as teaching people how to use their booths and making them a much easier user experience for the novice.
And when a person is buying a booth now, does the software come with it?
Yes, the software does come with it. We basically sell everything with the booths except for a printer. We're not an authorized printer dealer, so whereas a lot of people will sell the printers with no warranty, we're just not comfortable with that. So we'd rather send you to a reputable dealer and have you purchase it on your own, which usually ends up being a better deal for you anyway. But as the most expensive component in the booth, we feel more comfortable with you getting your full support and full warranty on the printers, which is why we allow you to make your choice.
And with the booths, you've designed it to work with a specific printer, so or a preferred printer. Maybe that might be a better way to describe it.
They're actually, with the exception of only one of our booths, they'll accept any from the smallest all the way up to the largest printers on the market. So they are pretty much printer agnostic. You can put whatever you'd like in there. You could even use a little inkjet printer from Walmart if you wanted to. So,
wow,
yep.
Very nice. Now we've gone with our small, our medium, our a little bit, and now we're going to go to one that's actually kind of the traditional photo booth from years ago when we have the curtains and everything. Let's go take a look at that one. We're looking at one. I have seen this one. I have got this one. This is, can we call this the granddaddy of the photo booths here?
Yeah, you'd say this was kind of the flagship model, the one that started it all.
So kind of take us through some of the features, because this now we're incorporating just a little bit more.
This one was designed to harken back to the more traditional photo booth look without having the hard back, which would be a little more constricting. Normally on the more, vending or, what would you say, like the
ones at the mall.
Yes, I was trying to think of what I was trying to say there. Those usually limit you to 2, maybe 3 people at a time. What we did is we made it self-supported so that in addition to being, handicap accessible, I mean, with the prevalence of those little scooters and stuff these days at events and things like that, it really makes it easy for a lot of people to get in here, handicapped people to get in here. A larger group of people, for example, can scooch back in the curtain a little bit. You can get as many as 8 or 9 people in a shot, which is quite a formidable gathering for a photo booth.
Yeah.
The curtains insert to the front. You can use them with or without, or you can use the booth with or without the curtains, which is nice because you don't always need those. You could just do a backdrop and have this open. So these just pull right out. We've made these so that they're user replaceable. You can source them at pretty much any Home Depot or anything like that. So when, not if, when you leave these at a venue, you can simply go down the road and get another set. So you can keep those looking nice and fresh. The curtains are also an off-the-shelf size, so there's nothing crazy that you have to purchase from us. If you wanted to change colors or you wanted to get a new set or somebody spilled wine on them or something like that, you could pretty much go to any Bed Bath & Beyond or someplace like that and find yourself a grommet panel style curtain which would fit the booth.
Now, when a person is getting involved with the photo booth, one of the questions is, what does it cost for, printing, doing the prints and such? How does that vary between the different printers we were just talking about?
Most of the dye sublimation printers, which are what most of the people use, are a thermal-based printer that prints a dotless, lineless, a real photo like you'd get from the drugstore or something like that. Most of those run in the ballpark of 10 to 15 cents per print, depending on the manufacturer and stuff like that. So you have a relatively low cost of operation. Your consumables usually for an event where, say you'd run 150 prints at the event, you'd be looking at under $20, which is nice. So that coupled with your labor is essentially your operational cost. So running a photo booth is pretty affordable for most people. It's a lot of profit versus a lot of money for the consumables and other stuff that goes into it. So your profit to money you have into it ratio is pretty high.
Yeah, very nice. Now, this particular one, how is transporting of this guy?
Okay, this guy right here comes apart into 2 pieces. In the back, there's a screw knob which would allow the top part and the bottom part to separate. You basically would pull your curtains off. It's very, very easy. But you'd separate these. They come right out of the front of the booth so that you would have just a box. You lift the top part off the bottom part and place it on a rock and roller or whatever else you were using and cart it off. So it does come into two pieces. The top part weighs about 58 pounds. It is a little cumbersome, but somebody my size, for example, can easily pick it up, twist it around, and get it onto the floor. It's just a matter of using physics in your favor. You really have to think about how you're going to pick something this size up, but it's not so much heavy as it is just bulky.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's just it is a large area, but it also gives you that appeal that it is a booth, which some of the others
people
don't.
like a more substantial sized booth, and they feel that is more impressive. So this addresses that thing. We do have a 21 inch as well with a side monitor, which looks exactly like this, and that's for the people that just really want the big booth.
But there's times, of course, where people don't want that big booth, and I think we've got one of the smaller ones up next.
Sure do.
So going from the big boy down to really portable once again.
Mm-hmm. This one right here is called the Party Pop. This is an all acrylic photo booth that was made to be super, super transportable. You can use it with or without the base. Once again, all the guts are in the top. The bottom has a glowing pedestal that it sits on. There is an integrated LED light with a remote, so you can change the colors and stuff like that. This does come apart into three pieces, so it's very, very, very easy to transport. It could go in the front seat of a Corvette if you wanted it to. There's not a whole lot of bulk to it. It does, once again, have the full-size touch screen. It has a full DSLR in there. Has your adjustable lights and everything like that. And it just has that acrylic appeal that a lot of people wanted. Acrylic is really sexy, so this addressed the sexiness thing. Curvy, sexy, compact, and glowing.
Now, where does the printer fit into this configuration?
This one right here does not have a place for the printer to actually go. We can create a small pedestal for the printer to sit on if you'd like it to. However, most people using this will use a 10 or 15 foot USB cable and put it off to the side so that it's at the signing table or whatever. So when the people use this photo booth, the prints will come out at a remote location, and then they'll be ready for the people to come sign the scrapbook or to put them in a frame or whatever else you're doing. So while you're giving up a printer stand, you're definitely gaining a new element of portability, which makes this very appealing. So your printer would be remotely located. There is no place to put it inside of this because it's only 8 inches thick.
Yeah, very small, very portable, and really a nice option for an open air. But now if there's a time where you'd want to enclose it, you have options for enclosing something like this.
Absolutely.
Let's take a look at that. So we looked at kind of a standalone unit. Now if we want to kind of enclose that, you've got a really nice option here.
Yes. This is everybody probably recognizes it as pipe and drape because that's what it is. I went ahead and I made a kit that breaks down into small pieces so that the entire enclosure here can fit into a 4-foot speaker pole bag, bases and all. The uprights, which are 7 feet tall, which allows you to set them up in an 8-foot room, break into two pieces, basically 3.5 feet per piece. The bases are 8-pound bases, which are stable. If somebody swings on this thing, of course, it's going to rock a little bit, but even with an 18-pound base, it's going to do the same thing. Pipe and drape is going to sway.
Yeah, precisely.
You basically end up getting 10 panels. You can choose your colors. This is a polyester. They call it a polypremier, or there's other things they call it, but polypremier is the most common name for it. You can get your curtains in any color you'd like. They're machine washable, which is really nice, so when they get grubby, you can just throw them in, dry them, hang them, and they're fine. They don't wrinkle a lot, so when you bundle them up and you hang them, you don't have all the squares in them like you do with velour and stuff like that.
Nice.
This expands from 4 feet to 7 feet in all directions, so it gives you a nice large enclosure, but it also gives you the option to use it as almost a 30-foot long back wall if you wanted to do an open situation, or you wanted to do a step and repeat where you hung a banner from it or something like that. So it's really nice because it's a kit that gives you multiple options. You can use it different ways. You can use it as a couple of backdrops or as a large enclosure or even just as a divider. It's just nice to have pipe and drape, period. And this is at a price point lower than even the company that sells it for. And we did that based on just making a very large commitment to buy from them. So yeah. It works out well.
Very sharp, and of course a person can have the photo station kind of areas inside it. People can go in.
Yep.
Just have that privacy that they want.
Sure.
And of course, if you do teen dances, they like to.
Yes, they like their privacy.
They like the privacy, even though they probably, sometimes they do. But we won't go there.
Yeah,
we won't go there.
We've got a.
So we've looked at photo booths. Now that's not the only thing you've got in this room. You've got a couple of other cool things I think we need to talk about, especially the one right behind the camera. That's pretty awesome. Let's turn the camera and take a look. So we're probably looking just a little bit dark right now because we've got all this light coming from behind us. But I've seen this before. We saw this in Atlantic City, and this is really awesome. And truthfully, when I went home, I was telling Lori that I saw the coolest light show. You got to tell us more about this.
Okay, these are we call them our Rad Dots, and basically they're a pixel mapping ball light. They're an adaptation of a Christmas light we saw, which was relatively flimsy and was not addressable. So we went back and asked them, we said, hey, can you make a solid one that can dip in water, that can get run over by a car and everything like that? And basically this is what we came back with. So these are smaller than most of the other ones you see other people selling on the market, which are more like ping pong balls on a string.
Yeah.
These are a solid super ball. We've driven over them with our forklift and never hurt them at all. They're as strong as can be. You can put them around a pool, for example, like we did at one event last year. You can put them right in the water. They're submersible. And they're auto matricing. We have these smart connectors, which I don't really understand how they work, but I know they're smart. When you plug them together, they just know what comes before it, and they address themselves. Now, the fun part about that is you can utilize any number of softwares to control them. So, for example, we can set something like a sound active backdrop there, or once again another sound active backdrop. We can do flames. We can do the Matrix code type of look. Or you can just do big swirling rainbows and stuff like that. Because they're addressable, you can put everything from video to JPEG images to ambience on this, and it all runs over one simple little Ethernet cable. It runs via ArtNet, actually, which is very, very simple to set up. And these can be broken apart into little sections. So you don't have to use them all as one wall. You can use little bits in separate doorways or set up little pipe and drape monoliths and put those up. So it's just a really nice eye-catching thing.
And completely weatherproof with wow, that's impressive.
Yes, I had the coolest Christmas tree in the neighborhood this year outside. It was DMX controlled, and people would slow down and look at it because it was just wild.
And for the guy who likes his Christmas lights, that sounds awesome.
Yes. Yes.
People want more information. Where can they go to check these things out?
They can go to atlantaphotoBooth.com, or you can also email me at steve@atlantaphotoBooth.com, and I'll answer any of your questions. And if you go there, you'll also see my cell phone number. I'm always available, so if you want to call me and ask me anything in person, that's probably the best way to do it. I do best with direct communication, so feel free to call.
Yeah, for sure. And for those of you all wondering a little bit, this man is a very, very talented man. He can create. If they've got questions or if they want to maybe do some modifications and such, give you a call.
Yeah, absolutely. Just call and discuss. I love new projects, so I'm always willing to take them on.
Yeah, that's for sure. And as we can see, he is very good with all these projects. That's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Steve, again, thank you very much. I appreciate it. This is good stuff. Thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions or comments, please put those down below in that little comment section, or you can pop out and you can add those share this. It's awesome. We really appreciate it. This is John Young with the Disc Jockey News, Disc Jockey News TV. Thanks for watching. Good night.